Welcome to another episode of Candid Moments with Candace Kirkbride. Today, my guest is Mark Mannisto. He's the president of the Sudbury Performance Group. Please help me welcome to the microphone, Mark. Hi, Mark.
How are you doing today?
Excellent, thank you. How are you?
I'm super.
Awesome, good. That was a little sugar-coated, but it doesn't matter. It's raining outside and it's okay. It's all good. I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. It's actually thanks to our mutual friend and local musician, Phil Morris, who connected us.
That's right.
So, how do you know Phil?
I actually met Phil about a year and a half ago, and I met him by accident. I was, well, as you mentioned, I'm the president of Sudbury Performance Group, and last February, right before the pandemic hit, Sudbury Performance Group was hosting its first ever Northern Arts Festival. And we were doing a performance out at Finn McCool's in the south end of Sudbury here. And I had my good friend Rod Bazinet performing at Finn McCool's. And Rod ended up bringing, well, he didn't bring them out, but people came out to see Rod perform. Yeah. And one of the people that came out was Phil. And both Rod and Phil go way, way back. And on one of Rod's breaks, Phil came by, and Rod and Phil, they started to chat. And Rod invited him up and said, "Hey, you know what? Come up for my last set, and we'll kind of make a duet or like a duo of the last half hour of the show." And so the two of them were up on stage performing. And then once the show was over, Rod introduced me to Phil, and we chatted. And I really enjoyed what Phil brought to Rod's performance that evening. And then when it came time for Sudbury Performance Group to host this year's Northern Arts Festival, I said, you know what? Like I really enjoyed the energy that Phil gave off during the performance. I'm going to see if he's interested in performing in the Arts Festival. So I sent him a message on Facebook, and sure enough, he said, "Yeah, you know what? I'd love to be on board for that." And the rest, as they say, is history.
Oh, that's great. So I think we maybe we jumped a little bit too far into it, because I don't know if everybody exactly knows what is the Sudbury Performance Group.
Sure. Well, Sudbury Performance Group, we're still fairly new. We started up in 2017, and we're an arts group that focuses on theater, stand-up comedy, and music. And I created the Sudbury Performance Group. I like to call it SPG just because it's quicker, it's easier. Yeah. But created SPG in 2017, and it was a way to encompass three of my passions into a group, and we're all volunteers for the group. We're run by a board of directors, and part of the mandate of SPG is to help promote local artists and give them an opportunity to get paid for their work, get paid for their passion, and make it so that people can make a living off the arts, not just in Greater Sudbury, but also across the province and across the country.
Oh, that's great. And congratulations on the article that was written about you in Sudbury.com. They had talked about how your passion started very, very young. So when you talk about your three passions, it was music, comedy, and
live theater.
And you're also, are you head over there at Theatre Cambrian?
No, I left Theatre Cambrian in 2016.
Okay.
But I had been with Theatre Cambrian since 1995, and that's where I really discovered the passion for theater and for stand-up comedy and for music. So when I saw the opportunity to create Sudbury Performance Group that really encompassed those three artistic mediums, then I thought the time was right.
That's wonderful. So after, like, once everybody's vaccinated and we can get back to whatever kind of normalcy or our new world will look like, it will be nice to get together again. Like I've
Absolutely.
are there any people in the audience when you do your live streams on Facebook with the musicians at the Colson, the nightclub in Sudbury?
No, when we do our live streams each week at the Colson for the Northern Arts Festival, the only people that are in the building are the musicians, myself, the audio and the video team as well. So
Okay.
that's so there's three of us that control the like the social media, the audio and the video, and then the musicians.
Okay, so are you an actor or a producer? Or
Well,
else?
I started out as an actor in '95, and
Okay.
and that's where I was that's where I first started to find this as a passion. But then I moved from acting onto producing, and then I went from producing onto directing. And there's a big difference between producing and directing, and I don't know if everybody really understands the difference between the two, but a producer basically handles all of the administrative side of whatever the project is, whatever the art project is, whereas the director takes care of what the audience sees, what the visual is on stage, or what they're going to be seeing on a live stream, whereas the producer takes care of all of the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, I can kind of relate to that because I used to produce a live speaking event before COVID.
Yeah.
So I did all the background work that I was able to see the event unfold. And yeah, lots of details, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That is so great. You are doing exactly that. Like, do you think that's your purpose, following these passions? I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's my purpose. I think if anything, my purpose would be to give opportunities to artists, whether it be theater, comedy, or music. I think that I see there being an absolute need and an absolute importance for arts and culture, not just in Greater Sudbury, but across the world.
Right.
And I think my purpose, if you can look at a divine purpose for each and every human being out there, I think my purpose is to ensure that artists have an avenue to make art.
That is fantastic. I love it. What inspired this? Like the
well,
group?
sir, like what inspired Sudbury Performance Group?
Yes.
Well, I think I was looking for an avenue where I can focus on the three main areas of arts that SPG focuses on, and really try to make a difference. And I was smart enough to know that I can't do this alone.
Right.
I would kill myself if I were doing it alone. So I was able to get together a team of individuals who are way better than I will ever be in each specific field, and together we created SPG, and we started off small, but thankfully there was a real the audiences gravitated to our offerings, and we've been growing little by little each year as we've been as we've been moving forward. And even in the pandemic life, where originally I thought, oh, this is going to make things really slow down for SPG, we found ways to grow even in the pandemic. So and it's all because of the hard work and the dedication of my board of directors that I work with, as well as the dedication of the artists that we work with on a weekly basis.
Isn't that nice to see the importance of community and going through something so hard?
Well, I think part of the reason why we're being so successful with these concert series that we're doing right now for the Arts Festival is, well, as I mentioned, I managed the social media portion of it during the actual performance, and some of the comments that I'm reading from the viewers watching at home are, I'm getting comments like, Mark, thank you for doing this. We need this right now. This is the best part of my week. I look forward to this every Saturday night. So I feel that we're making a difference, not just in the lives of the artists that are performing by giving them an opportunity to perform and do what they love.
Right.
But we're also making a difference at home for the people that are watching and tuning in each and every week, because it's just become part of their weekly routine.
That is so nice. That must be so rewarding for you.
Absolutely, it is. And when I read things like that, I kind of stock those nuggets away in the back of my brain, because there's going to be times, I know, because I've gone through it many times before, where you think, oh, is all this hard work that you're putting in worth it? Because we all have those days where you feel like giving up, and you feel that you're not making a difference, and it's the hill is just too high, too steep to climb. But then you think back to those little nuggets that you've locked away in the back of your brain, and you think, that's why I'm doing it. That is why I'm doing it. And then you go to bed, you wake up the next morning, and you think, you know what, today's going to be a great day, and you're going to be able to make a difference in the lives of somebody out there.
I love it. That's so great. I think you are making so much of an impact on this community. We need performing arts. I can't remember, actually, I can remember. The last concert I went to was Big Wreck. It was in Sudbury. It was at the end of 2019, before the pandemic. It was a great show. Loved it. Oh, I'm aching to go to another concert. Which one was the last concert that you saw?
The last concert that I saw, I guess it would have to be, the last concert I saw was outside of what Sudbury Performance Group offers, would probably have to be, I don't know. I think it was when I went up to Timmins for one of their Stars and Thunder concerts, where it was a full weekend, and I was able to see the Beach Boys. I was able to see the Arkells,
Awesome.
Bryan Adams, 5440. It was just a magical Canada Day weekend, and something that I'll never forget.
Oh, amazing. I so miss those festivals.
Absolutely.
It will be interesting to see who the next concert that we will see will be. Who's on your bucket list to see live?
Oh, to see live on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Well, I would have to say that if I would like to see anybody, I think I would like to see Pink live in concert, because apparently she just puts on one hell of a show, and I would love to see that. I actually saw, this is probably going back 3 years ago, I saw Lionel Richie in concert at the Air Canada Centre.
Okay.
And I remember growing up listening to Lionel Richie, and so when I was able to get tickets to his show, I was super excited. But then when I actually went to the show, because, and I think this is where the director part of me comes in, because when I go to see the show, I don't always just watch the performer on stage. I'm watching all of the intricate lighting details and the set details and
You're
how they
looking at
stay,
the stage crew.
and and the absolute phenomenal lighting show that Lionel Richie put on. It was the most colorful show that I'd ever seen before in my life. And I would love to see Lionel Richie again in concert. And if I ever get that opportunity, you know I'm going to be jumping on that.
Oh, amazing. I love it. So what is next for you?
Well, so this past this past January, we held an online stand-up comedy event with Derek Seguin from Montreal. And now we are doing the weekly music concert series for the Northern Arts Festival. So we've been able to find a way to do two of the three aspects that that Sudbury Performance Group focuses on. We've been able to do two of the three art forms throughout the pandemic. And now I want to try to find a way that we can incorporate some theater into the pandemic world. And it's challenging because with live music, you can have the musicians, the band up on stage, and you can film them doing their thing. Same with a stand-up comedy show. You have your singular stand-up comic on stage doing his act. When it comes to theater, because so much of theater, number one, you have to let your imagination run wild with theater, and you have to find ways to change your set from this scene to the next scene, and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to find a way that I can incorporate some theater in a way that, number one, we're doing it safely for our performers, because that's paramount for us. Two, I want to be able to do it effectively so that when we are able to stage some theater, that we're giving audiences quality performances. Because if we're providing quality performances, we're going to have return audience members coming back because they're enjoying their experience with Sudbury Performance Group. And number three, and I think this is what the pandemic has really taught me, is that when the pandemic first hit, everybody thought the world is being put on pause, and we're not going to be able to find ways to do arts. Well, that's not true. You have to be very creative in ways to bring arts to the audiences throughout the pandemic. So it's forced me and my team to be very creative in how we're reaching out to audiences. And it's been a struggle with the theater, but that's what I think is next, a way to be extra creative and bring some live theater to audiences. Because when we're doing the live theater, you're working intimately with the actors on stage, because actors are very, well, not just actors, but any artist is very vulnerable, because whatever art they're putting out to the audience, they're bearing their soul. And you have to be respectful to that, because this is them opening up to you and opening up to the audiences, to saying, this is what I have to give to you. When you're a director of a show, of a play or a musical production or a dinner theater production, the director and the actor have a very special relationship where they're working closely to find a way to have the actor and the performer open up their soul, open up their heart to the audiences, and do it in a way where that performer feels protected at the same time. So it's a very intimate relationship, and it's a bit hard to have a very intimate working relationship in a pandemic. But if there's a will, there's a way. That's what I always think to myself. If there's a will, there's a way, and we'll get it done. It's just a matter of how are we gonna get it done? And that's what I'm wrapping my head around right now.
That's awesome. And you know what? Yes, there's always an answer. You need to put the question out into the universe. Well, that's what I believe. And you wait. You'll get signs. The answer will come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to try. And you know what? You might not be successful on the first time or the second time or the third time. But if you try the fourth time, maybe that fourth time is going to be what unlocks the door and opens it up to a brand new world of opportunities. So you have to think positive, and you have to think, you know what? Don't look at these first 3 times as failures. You got to look at them as, these are 3 times where I realized that not to do it that way.
Yeah.
So you gotta look at them as blessings.
That's true. Like I've recorded, I don't know, we'll say 25 to 30 episodes. And I only got into video like in the 13th episode. So the audio is a lot better. Yes. You know what? I tried. I continue trying. It's getting better.
And it's great that you're doing this, because, you know, when you're doing it just audio, sure, I get to connect with you, Candice, but then we're doing this on video. I'm seeing you, you're seeing me, and you know what? It gives us the opportunity to connect, although we're not being able to connect person to person.
Right.
At least I'm being able to see you, and I'm being able to see how you're taking what I'm offering to you, and I'm being able to see what you're offering to me, and there's a connection there.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, you know. And so you're right. I think it's fantastic that you've moved from just the audio to the audio and visual now, because it makes it so much more personable as far as I'm concerned.
That's true. I had a meeting with my producer and we decided that video would be better. You know, I'm the producer, right? So if you had, what would your words of encouragement be for people who desire to follow their passions, or they have passions, but they don't feel that it's attainable?
For anybody that's interested in following their passion, you just have to do it. You know what? It might not be attainable, but it might not be attainable right now. If you at least take that very first step, then you'll know you've made the effort, and how can you build on it? It's always about building, moving forward. Yeah, that energy, that step forward always leads to the next step forward, to the next step forward. So anybody who has that passion, just go for it. What do you have to lose? I look at the amount of performers that I've worked with going back to 1995, and some of these people, you know, they were house moms for like the past 25 years, but they said, you know what, Mark, this is a bucket list of mine. I've always wanted to be up on stage and do the singing and doing the dancing, but I went away to university, and then as soon as I was done university, I ended up getting married, and then I ended up having a family, and then of course raising a family isn't just a 1 or 2 year ordeal. It's a number of years. And then finally you think, oh, you know what? I've missed the opportunity to follow my passion and then to be up on stage doing that singing and the dancing. But then all of a sudden they'll see a call out for auditions, and they think to themselves, well, you know what? What the heck? I'm going to go out and I'm going to try auditioning for a show. I haven't been on stage, or I haven't been able to have that opportunity for the past 25 years, but I'm going to try it. Here I am. I'm 50 years old. I'm going to try going out and performing on stage. And they do it. And then all of a sudden, myself and the rest of my team, we see that spark of creativity in that person who had no idea that they had it. And then all of a sudden, you keep on adding some fuel to the flame. Yeah. And you see that passion grow and grow and grow. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden, you've got a star amongst your hands. And if it weren't for that person taking the first step, who knows if they've ever would have ever done it. I look at some of the other arts groups here in town. I look at Yes Theater,
Yeah.
and I remember many years ago, I directed Alessandro, who is the founder of Yes Theater. I directed him in his first play, and here he is now. He's running Yes Theater, and he's so successful. But had he not come out and tried it, who knows if he would have been if Yes Theater would be here where it is now. I look at the stage manager for Mervish Productions down in Toronto,
Okay.
Lisa, who is the stage manager for Mervish. She's the stage manager for Come From Away. Well, she got her start with me back in the early 2000s. She started off. She was in the very first show I ever directed. That was her first production as well.
What
And
was
then
it
she said,
called?
"You know what, Mark? It was a concert version of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Evita." And she came out and she was a chorus member. And it was my first show ever directing. So I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to direct a show. Ignorance was bliss back then.
Yeah.
And so Lisa and I, we got along very well. And then a few years later, I was directing a production of The Wizard of Oz. And Lisa said to me, she said, "Mark, I want to be involved in The Wizard of Oz, but you know what? I don't want to be an actor in it. Do you mind if I try stage managing? I've never done it before, but I think it might be something that I would enjoy." You know what? If this is something that you want to give a shot, absolutely. I'd love to have you on board as my stage manager. She loved it. And then she went to school for stage management. And here she is, stage managing Come From Away in Toronto with Mervish Productions. So, and these are all people that said, "I'm going to take the chance to try it. I've got a bit of a passion for this. I'm going to give it a shot." And look where they are now. So you have to take that chance. On my Facebook page, my banner says, "Passion changes everything."
I
And
saw
it
that. I
really,
love
really
that.
does.
Yeah,
I
passion.
believe it 100%.
That's what we should be, following our passion.
And Candace, before you and I started chatting today, of course, when I got the invite to participate in your podcast, I decided, well, I want to see who Candace is. I want to look in to see what it is that she does. What is she's done in the past, and just reading your story, and it blew me away. And I see the passion that you have for creating this online community, this community of positivity, this community of caring and networking. It just, again,
Thank
you
you.
followed your passion, and here we are today chatting on a muggy Tuesday afternoon. But it's good for the garden, so that's all that matters.
That's true. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I continue to tell myself that all the time. This has been such a joy. Do you plan on directing and / producing any pieces, any productions post-COVID?
Absolutely. Post-COVID, when COVID hit, we were right smack dab in the rehearsal process for our musical production of Avenue Q. And then all of a sudden COVID hit. And truthfully, I thought at that point, COVID was going to last here in Canada for maybe about a month, maybe a month and a half. And here we are a year and a half later.
Ouch.
Yeah. So once we're able to get back on stage, I plan on working with my cast and my crew for Avenue Q and getting that production up on stage and mounted. Heck, I even hope to be able to produce and direct during COVID. Again, I just got to find a way to make it happen. I got to take a couple of steps. I might fail along the way, but as long as I keep moving forward, keep on taking steps forward, I'll get it done.
Absolutely. And we'll learn from every stumble or every mistake, and make the stumble part of the dance.
Absolutely. I love that. Make the stumble a part of the dance.
Yeah, I do that. I saw the quote, but because I walk with a limp, so I kind of, if I'm on the dance floor, I just make it part of the dance. So,
Beautiful. Oh,
Thank you for having a candid moment with me today, Mark. I'm so excited to see what the Sudbury Performance Group has to offer everybody. And do we have to buy tickets?
Yeah, absolutely. You buy tickets for our theater productions, for our live streams that we do every week. You just go onto our Facebook page. You can watch them on there for free. Every week, it's a different artist, a different local artist, and I'm telling you, they are all so incredible, so talented. So if you want some weekly dose of music, live local music in your life, check us out every Saturday night from 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock on our Facebook page. And Candice, thank you so much for inviting me onto your
Oh,
show. I had a fantastic time.
me too. Keep following that passion, my friend.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Mark
Bye now.
Mannisto, everybody.